Yes, yes, till I am laid to rest. That was Bridget Banton, and you are listening to DJ LP on Passion Radio, in case you didn't know.
Sister LP with the Nubian Power. This is Sister LP representative for PassionRadioUK.com. Team Passion, big up your damn self. Represent.
Yes, yes, you are listening.
Roots and culture. Roots and culture.
You are listening to DJ LP on Passion Radio, and it is my absolute pleasure to be here with you today. Whoever you are, wherever you are, I welcome you. And yeah, it's just wow. Thank you for making it through the week. Thank you for making it through the days, the hours, you know, whatever it has taken for you to be here today. And today may not be the day that I've recorded this show, but whenever you find this show is the right day. As simple as that. It's the right day. I hope that you are well. I trust you are well. I trust you are Irie. I trust all is good in your world, and that you are literally on the brink of your success, on the brink of your happiness, on the brink of your love, on the brink of your joy. Whatever it is, I just trust that you are right there. You can taste it, you can feel it, you can see it. I can. That's how I feel. It's like, there's an energy of change that's taking over the world. And I think it's so subtle that not everybody can see it, not everyone can feel it. And you know what? It doesn't look nice. It doesn't look like how we would expect it to look, but it is necessary. A friend of mine said to me yesterday, you use that word a lot, don't you? Necessary. And yes, I certainly do. One day I'll tell you guys the history behind that word. If it's not necessary, I'm not doing it. It's as simple as that. My friend will be joining us for the second hour, but for this hour, I have a few words on a piece of paper. Like last week, you know, I kind of had stuff written out that I wanted to talk about. And then in the second hour, I kind of freestyled. This day, I am freestyling. I know what it is that we're going to be talking about. And I have some words on a page. Community, mentors, parents, youths, spiritual, past life, generational, this life, friends, karma. The conversation today, as usual, is the work. It's the work. My work revolves around dying, death, and grief. Yeah. But my work is about life. I talk of life. Let's live before we lay our bodies aside. Let's live before we make that transition. Because once we get to the point of no return, we may just realize that we haven't lived at all. Each and every person comes to Earth with a mission. Every single person comes to Earth with something to do. There is no mistake. You didn't come here by mistake. Okay? Your inception may not have been roses and sweetness, but you were meant to be. Full stop. Thank you for being here. I know that life is not easy. It's not easy at all. And still you're here. And still you keep turning up. And still you keep rising. And so I applaud you for that. Because I know it's not easy. But it's how we roll. Okay? We're here. So we'll just cut and go through. All right? Last week I was talking about community and how community is made. It's made up of people who have similar likes and interests and, you know, intentions for the future, or, you know, past events are what shape their present and their future as well. These are people that may look the same. They may be coming from the same place. They have similarities that draw them together. Yeah, it doesn't matter about what color you are, what age you are, whoever you are, you're going to fit into several different communities based on your appearance, based on your experiences, based on your education, your social outlook, your spiritual outlook, your psychological outlook. All of this stuff means something. It all has an effect on the experience that you have, that we call life. And it is so easy to miss out on that experience. Some people, as I said last week, will go to ages like 75. And then when they're told you are about to lay your body aside, they realize that they haven't lived. They haven't had the experience of living. And the reason why that is because we literally never stopped slaving. All that happened was the gates came down and everybody became a slave. Not everybody knew it. Not everybody knew it. But the way how life is changing at the moment, I think people are kind of starting to get the memo, you know? Oh, I thought life was good for me because I didn't look like them. And now look. I'm going to put a full stop in that because that's not actually what I came here to talk about today. So last week we had the conversation about community, and I explained to you where pain comes from and where suffering comes from in this lifetime, and how it is made manifest through the breakage in our spiritual energy, in our spiritual strength, in our spiritual being. Unfortunately, we find ourselves at a time where we are spiritually malnourished. But we are coming out of an age of darkness and misery, and we are going into an age of light, knowledge, and information. Now that means that we're going to experience pain, because this is another transition that we are living through. We are living through a transition coming out of the darkness and into the light. Okay? Another day, I'm going to explain to you how beautiful the darkness is. We need it. We need to appreciate it, because it's in the darkness that all this growth takes place. And we are given opportunities to learn and to be better. All great things are created under pressure. Everything that's created comes from a place or are we not speaking? Bear with me a second. Everything that we are, that is created comes from somewhere, you know, and is born out into our lives so that we can share it with others. Now, I've got a call from management, so I am just going to see what's going on, and then I'll come back to you, or not. Okay, as the case, whatever the case may be, I hope to see you back soon. Bear with me. Yes, I am back. Thank you for sticking with me. You are listening to DJ LP on Passion Radio. I just had a bit of a technical issue, so I'm hoping that it's going to be better now. It's something that I should be able to resolve. So let's see how it goes. Now, whilst I'm sorting that out, I want to talk to you, my fellow listeners, my friends, you know, those of us who are out there on this day. Last week, on my old stomping ground, on my old bus, there was an incident in Croydon. that I really want to speak to you about today. One of our youngsters, let's say, because identities haven't really been fully given, but a young lad decided that he was going to take matters into his own hands when a young girl that he had much affection for decided that she didn't want his flowers and she didn't want his notes and gestures of affection. The young lad didn't know how to deal with this situation, and when her friend stepped in between the two of them, he stabbed her friend to death. Both girls were on their way to school. They said goodbye to their parents that morning and went about their business because it was just a normal, everyday day. And so, unfortunately, one of those young girls did not make it home. I don't want to speak so much about, how sad it is, because of course it is. It's an awful situation. I want to speak to you about, let's put it this way. I want to speak to you about the bigger picture. Okay? Hence the reason why I have on here community, mentors, parents, youths, spiritual, past life, generational, and this life, friends, and karma. Okay? I want to speak to you about those things. As I said last week, when something happens, when something manifests in the physical, it's because there's been a breakage in the spiritual. We can then be affected on a psychological level or on a physical level. There are other levels that we can be affected on, but for now, let's look at the psychological and let's look at the physical. When there is a break in your spiritual being, then it will manifest as sickness, okay? It will look like sickness. It will feel like sickness. But that's where you have community. Your community originally would come in and hold you up during that time. Indeed, your community would have people in place for that time. For example, when children are being born, or when children are coming to puberty, there are rites of passage. When people are getting married, when people die, when we reach different milestones in life, there are often traditionally people within the community who are equipped to guide you through those times. Where is our community? Where are our mentors? What was needed for that young lad was somebody who would be able to say to him, you know what, son, even if you're not my son, this is how we deal with rejection as men. We take it on the chin. We go back. We reassess. We think about it so that we can approach differently. And we will keep on approaching differently until that time comes when somebody worth our while will actually say, yeah, I want to be with you for who you are. And I don't want you to change. Now, when it comes to finding a mentor, it's not going to be your parent. Your parent is not your mentor. Your mentors are the people that are supposed to come out of the community. Your parents are the ones that are going to beat you because they have to pay for you. They have to pay bills. They have to keep you going. They have to feed you. They have to clothe you. Yeah. They don't have time to be thinking about everything. It doesn't mean that they don't love you. But I've spoken to so many people who have said, you know what, I can chat to you in a way that I can't talk to my mum or my dad or my family. And I haven't just heard that from youngsters. I've heard it from adults as well, you know, and I've heard it from people of different colors. I can talk to you about things that I can't talk to other people about because they're going to judge me. We all need community. We all need mentors. Okay. And sometimes the people that are closest to us, although we love them dearly and they love us dearly, sometimes they're not the right people to guide us through the situations that we find ourselves in. So let's talk about these situations that we find ourselves in. What we need to realize is that we are spirit beings having an experience here on the planet Earth. Not all of us originate from Earth. Yes, there are earthbound incarnates. That means that there are people who are just meant to be on Earth. But there are also swathes of energies, swathes of people who came to Earth to help with the evolution that I'm talking about, coming from the darkness into the lightness. Okay? And they're experiencing it as well. They're feeling it. They're going through it as well. They're not exempt because we're all in this earth energy. We're all experiencing it together. But some of us come with gifts. And it's often those who have gifts that are seen as the black sheep of the family. They're the ones that are shunned. They're the ones that are a little bit weird and just different. Oftentimes, they are the one that we just don't talk about. But they are the ones with the biggest hearts who will do anything that they can for you. They are the ones who are running around in the background, making sure that everything keeps going and likely getting no thanks for it. Okay. So our communities are made up of very many different types of people, and we all have many different gifts. But unfortunately, we don't seem to like each other. And that's not even just a black thing, it's an all different colors thing. We don't all really seem to like each other. And I think that in recent years, we've become very isolated. I suppose moving more to an online kind of presence where we can make up a different persona that can be accepted by others whilst we protect the truth of who we are, as if we are something that is terrible. We're not. We're not. We are actually beautiful individuals. We need to embrace our individuality. We need to embrace our uniqueness. We need to be encouraging one another. And it doesn't always have to be love. Like, we're not always going to get on. As I've said before, not all skin folk are kinfolk. We are all coming from different places, different backgrounds, different experiences. We are all different energies, and we've all come to Earth to help with this progression, let's say, from darkness, which was the age of Pisces, into light, which is the age of Aquarius, which is where we find ourselves now. Now, the reason why I do the death work is because there are very many that won't make that transition. But it's okay. It's okay. Because that which we've been led to believe is death is nothing but a fallacy. We can continue to exist in different ways, shapes and forms. And again, as I've said, some remain on Earth, others go to other dimensions. There is so much more than just this planet. There really is. But whilst we are here on this planet, we need to make sure that we're looking out for everybody, especially our youths. Because when we get to that end, which is my preferred end, when we get to that old age end where we have lived and we have the privilege of laying our bodies aside, we're going to come back. Our youths are our ancestors. How many times do you look at your child and you think to yourself, I see you, I know who you are. Your mum, your dad, your gran, your aunt, your uncle, you're this, you're that, you're the other. I recognize you. I know you. If you go to those elder ages and you haven't done the work of healing your upset in this lifetime, then it will affect your lifetime to come. And it will affect the generations that have followed you. Because when you are hurting and you are not addressing your issues, then you pass that hurt on to your children. And they pass it on to their children because they've never seen the work of healing be done. Because we seem to think that it's a shameful thing to do, to break down, to express our pain, to express our sorrow and our grief. We seem to think that it's something that we need to be ashamed of because it means that we have failed. We haven't failed. We've been living under narratives of strength that are impossible to live under. We have been masking and making out that I'm all right, Jack. Yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, nothing's going on in my house. Everything's cool. I'm Chris. We've been told what happens in the house stays in the house. And when you go out a road, you just put on your best face, your brightest smile, if you can, and you go about your business. And if anybody asks you how you are, yeah, I'm fine. How are you? Put it back onto them. Don't draw no attention to yourself. You're strong. You've got this. When you go back in the house, you can't show weakness because you have to be the parent or you have to be the child. What are you crying for? I'll give you something to cry for. It's impossible. Life is hard, you know? And when you've got friends, how often do they actually tell you, this is how I really genuinely am feeling and it's not good? Oftentimes we don't, because we don't want to burden people with our misery. So how do we heal? We don't. We pass our pains on to the next generations and it continues. And so there's the traumas that we experience in this lifetime. We experience childhood traumas in our formative years, and our formative years are 0 to 7. Whilst we are in our formative years, we are in a state of hypnosis. That means that we are in a different dimension. So you may think that your child is bright and old-headed and all the rest of it. Yeah, they very much probably are, but they are also in a different dimension. And then from the ages of 8 upwards, they are set. Yeah, this is who they are. And oftentimes we lambast our children. I did. I beat my kids. I beat them because I was beaten. I beat them because I thought that's how you educate. That's how you grow. That's how you get respect. Yeah. This is generational. It's handed down. And now we have these cycles that we need to break because our children are breaking. You know, when I don't know about this young lad who was unable to deal with rejection, I don't know the first thing about him. I wonder, where was his father? Where was his grandfather? Where are his uncles? Where are his male cousins? Where are the people who have got his best interests at heart? I want to know who died, that one person who really did check for him. I want to know who is missing from his life, because what happened could have been avoided if it was meant to be avoided. And that's where we go in a completely different direction. We have a dynamic here of 3 people. I don't know any of these people, We'll call them Tom, Jane, and Susan, for want of better names, yeah? Tom, Jane, and Susan. 2,000 years ago, when they were on Earth and their paths crossed, there was a dynamic that played out. And so, in the years to follow, in the lifetimes to follow, in the generations to follow, when those three paths cross again, there may just be karma that needs to be paid. Now, karma doesn't look pretty, but karma is the balance. It's not always attractive, but it is the balance. And we come to these lifetimes and we know exactly what we're going to do. And within our formative years, we forget. We are programmed. We are sent to school. We have experiences. So if your mum doesn't get on with your dad, or your dad doesn't get on with your mum, and he's left the family in unit, let's say, and your mum decides, yeah, I want you to see your dad, but he doesn't want to see you. Or your mum decides, I don't want you to see your dad, but he wants to see you. You know, then it's often a chance that there is a breakdown in her spiritual lineage. Yeah, that has been followed through the generations. Where was her dad in her family? Where was her granddad? Like, we need our men. We need our brothers. We need you. We need you. We can't raise boys. I've got a son. The best thing that I could do was take him away from London, from Croydon, from the 60 bus that used to drive past my bedroom window, that I used to get on to go to school or to go and hang around Whitgift in the good old days. I don't know how I would have coped in that situation, in that dynamic, but I know that back then I was the girl that would have stood in between them, because I wasn't going to be the girl with the boyfriend. You know? And oftentimes we need to think about that energy. That thought, I have to step in and save this, also comes from a spiritual breakage. We are conditioned, many of us women, to believe that we have to fix everything. We have to hold everything up. We have to keep everything going. We have to make it work. We have to make it look good. We don't have to do anything. We can't control anything, and we can't control anybody. It is what it is, and that's what we have to accept. So recently, a friend of mine put a post on Facebook, and I just said to her, you know what? I feel to just let everything slide off the table. The legs are wonky. The surface is rotten. There's food and junk on the table that is long gone off, that we're trying to keep on this wonky, rotten table. I'm like, let it all just fall to the ground. Just leave it. That's how I'm feeling. That's how I was feeling when I heard about this dynamic that took place in Whitgift. Just let it all go. Like, I can't see it happening any other way. But obviously, there are so many other ways. First of all, we need to rebuild community. When was the last time you actually looked at your friends and just said to them, you know what, are you okay? You know what, let's actually sit down, yeah, and talk about that thing that's hurting. Let's locate it in our bodies and let's heal it. When was the last time we sat down with our family members and said, you know what, this happened back in 1970, whatever, and it's really, I'm feeling it today. It's really affecting me. You know what, you did this in 1998, 1987, and it just flashed up in my mind the other day. Or I had a dream This is one that came up recently. I had a dream and I saw you doing something. Let's talk about this because we are spiritual people. Literally, everything that we experience, we're told about. But sometimes we miss the cues. Sometimes we don't see it happening. I spoke to a lady recently and her husband passed away. And she said, you know what, 2 days before he went into hospital, a butterfly flew into the kitchen. And I said, that's my mum. She's come to give me a message. And he didn't say anything. And then a few hours later, they were both in the bedroom and they were talking to each other about the children. And then he said, you know what? They're going to miss us when we're gone. She said he'd never said anything like that before. And she never thought anything of it. 2 days later, he was gone. That same evening that he had said that, their daughter had come into the room, and had recorded him randomly. That video is now treasured. There was an energy, the lady said, as she thought back, there was an energy, but she missed it. Oftentimes, we don't see because we don't know what we're looking for. And so there are people within our communities who know the signs, who see the signs, who are ready to work with you. But if you don't have a community, then you don't kind of have a backbone. There's a song that says, no man is an island. We need each other. Trust me, I've tried to be an island. I've tried. I've tried. And it doesn't work. People gravitate to me. I just want to sit in my bed with my thumb in my mouth and keep my behind quiet. But communities are built from friendships, from allegiances, from likes, from dislikes, from experiences, from cultures, from backgrounds, from education, from likes and dislikes, culture, community. We really have to look about our friends, and we have to ask ourselves whether our friends are actually good for us. We also have to ask ourselves whether we are good for our friends. What do we bring to the table? I've been seeing a lot. There's like a type of woman who thinks that she can just look pretty, go out on dates with men, and then complain when the man can't pay the bill. And I've just found myself wondering, but what really are you bringing to the table? Like, you expect this man to be an image of what you think a man should be, but sis, have you got a dad? Have you got brothers? Have you got a granddad? Like, do you really know? Do you know what it is that you actually need? Or are you going along a narrative that's been created for you, which is absolute balderdash? I feel as if I'm ranting, and I really hope that that's not the case. Like, I hope that what I'm saying makes sense, because we do have trauma from this lifetime. We do have learned experiences, and we do have tripe that needs to be dealt with. But on top of all of that tripe, we also have generational trauma. Our ancestors have never had the opportunity to heal. They never had therapists that they could go to. They had people in the community, but because of the environment that they were in, they couldn't rely on those people, because those people might just run back to Masa. And that is also a fear that has been carried down through the generations. If I tell you something, you're going to use it as a stick to beat me with. If I tell you how weak I am, then you're going to use it. You're going to talk my name. You're going to scandalize me. I can't afford for people to know that I'm breaking apart, because I have to protect my family. I have to protect my children. If the authorities find out that this is going on, then they're going to take my kids away from me. There is so much. There are so many levels. There are so many dynamics. And At the moment, I'm writing an academic piece to explain why the African, Caribbean person of the diaspora who may identify as Black has to heal themselves. If I break your leg, you're not going to come back to me to fix it for you. I can't fix your leg. I can break it. I can't fix it. As a people, different nations, different backgrounds, different tribes, different tongues, different experiences, different cultures. If we are broken, we have to fix ourselves. Now, there are many methods that we may have used in the past that can't be used anymore. Fight, flight, and fright look different nowadays. You know, we're not being hunted by bears. Yeah, we're not going to be chased by polar ice caps and all of that kind of stuff. The threats are different. Our children are experiencing a different threat to the ones that I was experiencing, and I'm 45. Yeah. And to the ones that people who were in their 60s were experiencing. This is a whole new time. As I've just said, I'm 45, and people in our 60s, we're not really equipped to deal with our youths. We need to be looking at our youths to tell us what direction to go in, because they are the future. They are leading us. That they need to have a backbone. They need to have some strength behind them so that they can stop, so that they can fall down without being lambasted, without being embarrassed and made to feel like they're whatless, just like their dads, just like your mum. It's not helping, is it? Look where we find ourselves. Where's the tenderness? I remember one time when I went to Jamaica and I wanted to call a cab guy called Catchy. And I phoned him up and I said, "Hi, Catchy, can you come and get me, please?" And I was told, "No, you don't talk to him like that. You say, 'Catchy, come and get me now.'" Where's the tenderness? Where's the politeness? Cold and harsh. But what we need to realize is that's how many of us were raised, but that doesn't work for our children, and it certainly didn't work for us. Yeah. Many of us were beaten up. And so we've not beaten our children. We have gone in the exact different opposite way, and we've been nice and gentle on them. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying to be beaten is a good thing, and I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Yeah, I'm just saying it is what it is. But in all of that, there's been no balance. It's just been one extreme to the other for many of us. I'm sure that in amongst what I've described, there are people who have had, I've spoken to people who have had the perfect upbringing. But I think that's kind of rare. And I think that many of the people who are walking around on earth today, again, regardless of their name, age, color, background, size, shape, you know, we've all had it rough. We've all had it rough. Even if you think that you were privileged, even if you didn't realize the privilege that you had, something would have come across and it would have been the end of the world for you because you didn't know how good you had it. Everybody is suffering. Yeah. Every single person experiences generational trauma. Because even if your ancestors were inflicting, yeah, even if your ancestors were inflicting the damage, it's going to be passed down through the generations. You're going to feel it. That's why you don't want to have conversations about reparations. That's why you don't have to, you don't want to have conversations about equality and equity. Yeah, because you perceive yourself to be in a good place. And it looks like admitting that you were wrong, saying sorry, apologizing for the acts of your forefathers means that you have to lose something. It doesn't, but that's the program that's running. If I give you something, then I lose something. That's the program that we seem to be locked into. When I took from you, you lot lost. When I took your gold, when I took your silver, when I took your religion, when I took your language away from you, when I shaved your hair off and stripped you of your identity, you lost and I gained. And now, if we're going to have to balance out, retribution. But retribution doesn't have to look like what you think it looks like. Trust me, I wish it did, but it doesn't have to, because you're dealing with spirit. We are spiritual people. And so we do our thing a little way different, whether we like it or not. Now, if you think of spirit as like a fizzy drink, yeah? You got a fizzy drink in a can and you shake it up, yeah? And then you open it. It's going to rupture all over the place, yeah? That's what we are seeing playing out today. We are seeing a rupturing, a bubbling forth. We are seeing an anger and a rage that's been suppressed. So it is going to manifest in violence. It is going to manifest in fear. It is going to manifest in rejection. It is going to manifest in, I'm going to step in and sort this out. Yeah? It's going to manifest in so many different ways. And we will automatically look at each and every one of these ways as a terrible thing. We look at conflict as a terrible thing. I can't bear to tell you that I hate your guts, because it's going to hurt your feelings. I'm going to look bad. You're going to cry. I'm going to feel guilty. I really hate your guts, but I'm just going to smile in your face because it's easier. Conflict is actually better because people know where they stand. And once I was speaking to somebody, a young lad, when I went to college, and I said to him, I'd rather know that somebody hates me for the color of my skin. And he's like, that sounds a bit strange. And I said, I'd rather they tell me straight up, I don't like you because you're black, than smile in my face and plunge the knife in my back or in my front. And when it comes to the journey, the experience, what we have to realize is that we weren't able to fight back. So we fought amongst ourselves. We don't necessarily like ourselves. We don't like what we've seen when we look in the mirror, because the narrative has always been that anything too black, no good. Anything too black isn't good. That's a narrative that was handed down through the generations. And there are so many examples of how that narrative is played out within society. And so it's easy to see then why we fight against each other. You can't be any good because you look like me. I don't like me. Being me doesn't get me any benefits in life. Being me doesn't help me up the ladder. What we don't realize is that we don't need to climb no ladder, but we haven't been shown any other way because we have no community. So this is the situation that we find ourselves in. And there's karma that has to be played out in every lifetime, which means that people are going to do bad things to you and you're going to do bad things to people. They're going to rub you up the wrong way. You're going to rub them up the wrong way. There's going to be a balance, but the balance is going to be spiritual. So you're not always going to see it, but from that darkness, you're going to grow. From that darkness, you're going to be given an opportunity to do something a little bit different. Or you can actually do something a little bit worse. It's entirely up to you. Look out for your friends, but be aware of who your friends are. Do you serve them? Do they serve you? Is there a balance? If you have experienced trauma in this lifetime and you are ready to heal from your trauma, and you need to find somebody who will work with you, call me and I will be able to find somebody that will help you. And if I can't find anyone, then it might just be me. Yeah? Because I'm one of those weird and wonderful people who came to Earth to do this work. So my number is 07975 861089. 07975 861089. And so what you need to remember is that whilst you're feeling the way that you do, which is burdened down and very, very tired, you are also carrying the energies of the people that came before you, with whom you share DNA, bloodline. Their trauma is your trauma, and it's come up through this transition of darkness to light for you to deal with in this lifetime. It's not pretty. It don't feel good, but it's the way it is. Okay? You have several thousand different lifetimes, past lifetimes. Your soul experienced rubbish on that journey. It all has to be cleaned up. There are going to be many people who cannot face the work. It's work, it's hard work, it's not easy, it's not simple. This is work. And so they are going to go through the door of transition that is labeled death. And when they do, it's okay, because death is not what we think it is. For some people, it's a leveling up. It's a graduation. It's congratulations, your work is done. Others will return back to earth and they will do it again and keep doing it until the work is done. Yeah? Okay, we're coming to the top of this hour. In the next hour, I'm going to be speaking to another weird and wonderful person like me, who is also equipped to do this work. And she has been given resources that we can use to help us along our journey. As I said before, you know, there's a big group of us who came to Earth to do this work. So if you are ready to do this work, if you feel that you want to do this work, if it's time for you to do this work, contact us.